What's up guys, it's Pride here, and today we're going to be talking about Madara Uchiha. And we're going to be going over how strong he actually is. Now, I'm pretty sure we all know that he's insanely strong. He gave everybody a run for their money all the way up until he got stabbed in the back. But do we actually know how strong he is? I mean, by the time he got both his Renegons and did the Infinite Tsukiyomi, like I said, he was pretty much backstabbed, and then Kaguya took place. And for some reason, a lot of people seem to take that as the fact that, well, he was worse than Kaguya and Kaguya would have completely slapped him. And I actually do not agree with this assessment, because while I do agree that she has more chakra, and that she's probably faster, I actually don't think she'll win in a fight. But to better explain my reasonings, we gotta go over Madara's main kit and a little bit of his life. So, without further ado, let's start off when Madara was a young teenager in the Warring State period. Madara was hailed to be a genius even for his young age, and this is because he was able to defeat multiple adult Senjus before he even awoken his Sharingan. And this is actually an insane feat, because one, during that time, everybody was pretty much strong. Two, the Senjus were insanely strong when it comes to their physical aspects because they inherited the Yang side of the family branch. They were pretty much all superhuman. They had extra chakra, extra stamina, and were extra strong on average. So, defeating multiple adult Senjus before Madara even got a Sharingan was already an insane feat. Later on, Madara actually awakens his Sharingan. Now, for those of you who don't know what the Sharingan does, or need a recap, the Sharingan allows people to pretty much track their opponent's movements insanely well, copy anyone's ninjutsu, and also copy their movements if they want to copy a certain fighting style, but primarily to copy other people's ninjutsu, as long as the user of the Sharingan meets the prerequisite to copy said jutsu. And obviously, if it's a Keikai Genkai, then unless you're of the same clan, you don't meet the prerequisite. And the final thing that the Sharingan can do is cast Genjutsu on people. Now, Genjutsu is a pretty hard thing to do and is not widely sought after in the ninja world. And that's because it is pretty slow and it requires a lot of prep, and people can get out of it relatively easy as long as they're working with a teammate. So in the heat of battle, it's not really used too often. It's more of an ambush type of maneuver than anything else. But the Sharingan kind of gets rid of all of that and makes the Genjutsu very practical in battle. So, as you can imagine, Madara only did even better on the battlefield. And he even got to the point where he was the first amongst his clan members to awaken his Mangekyou Sharingan. Now, the Mangekyou Sharingan does all the things that the Sharingan can do, except even better. And it also comes with their own specific powers. Now, for Madara's case, we don't really know what his powers were. I can only assume they were busted, but we never see it. But to be fair, Madara was pretty insanely strong anyway, so I can kind of see the reason why the creator didn't gift him an ability with his Mangekyou Sharingan. But even though he didn't have abilities, or well, abilities as far as we've seen, we do know that he was a master at the MS. So much so that he was able to predict and fully understand other people's MS in his clan and later on in the show, and have a complete understanding that if you were to get your Sharingan, he will be able to use it immediately with no problems. Now, along being the master of the Mangekyou Sharingan and also being the first to awaken it, this also means he was the first to awaken a Susanoo to go along with it. Now, even though we don't see his special godlike powers that every MS user seems to have, besides Madara himself, we do get to see his Susanoo. And his Susanoo was pretty amazing. It is even stated that he can move his Susanoo faster than he can move his own body, which Madara has been shown to be able to blitz multiple shinobi and even keep up with the speed of the Raikage. So to have a Susanoo that's even faster than that is pretty insane. He became such a master of his MS and Susanoo that eventually perfected Susanoo, and he was able to, just by unsheathing his sword, slice mountains apart. And again, this is still actually during the Warring States, well, a little bit past that, where he's fighting Hashirama. But speaking of Hashirama, Madara was also known to be the only person to really combat Hashirama, and in fact, Madara was the only one to drive Hashirama to his utmost limits. Again, this is another huge feat against a Senju member, because not only was Hashirama declared to be god of shinobi for good reason, Hashirama was effectively pretty much unkillable. Like, unless you cut off his head completely in one clean slice in one go, he was able to heal from almost any grievous wound that anyone could put upon him, and he can do that in a matter of seconds. The fact that Madara was the only person to fight him and put him against his limits kind of proves a lot about his strengths. So much so that a lot of people will argue that Madara actually could have won that fight if Hashirama wasn't so insanely hard to kill. So the fact that Madara was able to keep up with Hashirama, the god of shinobi, actually says a lot. You also have to consider the fact that Hashirama was able to capture all of the tail beasts by himself and was so strong that he was able to, and I know Hashirama didn't mean to do this, but this was one of the biggest flexes of all time. He was able to give these country destroying tailed beasts away to other countries because he was that strong. Like, he saw no reason not to do that. In fact, he thought of it as a bridge to close the conflict. So that really does put Madara in a pretty big limelight. And then we see Madara come back as a reanimation. By the time Madara came back for his reanimation, he also had his Rinnegan and also Hashirama cells in his own body. The fact that he was able to push Hashirama to his limits while he was alive with just the Mangekyou Sharingan says a lot. And to see him come back as a reanimation with Rinnegan, insanely boost to the Sharingan, and Hashirama cells, so now he has wood style and he can heal insanely well. And he's actually a little bit stronger now. This is pretty much already god tier status. And we actually see this when he fights the 5 Kage. He fights all of them at the same time, even though some of them are indeed weakened. This is true. Some of them have already exhausted themselves quite a bit, but he still makes light work of all of them. And he doesn't even consider what happened to be a real fight. He actually tells them point blank that he was going easy on them. Because for what adult actually goes full force against children? And that's what he saw them as. He even criticizes on how Tsunade, insane, amazing medical ninja, is actually trash in comparison to Hashirama, which again exemplifies how strong Hashirama and Madara truly were back in their heyday. Now we move on to where it seems to be a little bit of a disconnect. We know Madara is strong against fighting against the 5 Kage. That pretty much set aside how strong he was, and summoning giant meteors like they were nothing, knowing that he could have done this all along, pretty much again solidifies how strong he truly was. But there seems to be a disconnect later in the war when Edo Madara went against Edo Hashirama, and it seemed like Hashirama was actually winning. A lot of people took this scene as, well, Madara had the Rinnegan and Hashirama cells and he still got pinned twice by Hashirama and looked like he was losing, or if not equal. And this is where I completely disagree. You see, Madara had a plan the entire time to beat Hashirama. In fact, not only beat him, his plan was to beat Hashirama and then go fight Obito, and then beat Obito while Obito was in his 10-tail Jinchuriki mode, and then take that from him. Now, the only way that Madara could have done this is if he got Sage mode from Hashirama, which again, Madara actually planned on doing. And we actually see this in execution when Hashirama actually thought that he won the fight for a brief second, and then Madara gets brought back to life. And not shortly after that, Madara blitzes everybody and then he absorbs Hashirama's Sage mode. I want you guys to realize exactly how he did this. You see, he was able to take the Sage mode away from Hashirama because of the black receivers in Hashirama's back. That Madara was able to pin down during the fight. And if you notice, he has about like 6 or 7 of them in Hashirama's back. That means Madara tagged that man multiple times. It was pretty much all a setup. From the beginning of the fight, Madara was just playing with him. If anything, he was leading Hashirama into a false security, thinking that Hashirama had the play so that way when Madara wanted to act, aka hold his movements with the black receivers, Hashirama wouldn't have anything to really stop that. And you gotta remember that Madara wasn't going all out at all. In fact, during most of his fights when he was a reanimation, he never went full out. He could have used the Rinnegan's abilities, which were a lot of them, to a higher degree. He could have used wood style, but he didn't. Against Hashirama, Madara decided to not use his Rinnegan powers for the most part, if at all, and he didn't fight Hashirama with wood style versus wood style. He just let Hashirama do his thing, and Hashirama did it. So pretty much what I'm saying is, Hashirama had no chance in that fight. Hashirama was completely outclassed already. In fact, Ten Tails Obito already pretty much outclassed Hashirama. And Madara, again, planned on beating Obito. Now you guys could be thinking that, he didn't know how strong Obito was. Well, Madara with Hashirama cells, and he knew exactly how strong Obito was. He was keeping an eye on Obito the entire time while fighting Hashirama, and to Hashirama's credit, Hashirama was doing the same thing while fighting Madara. They were both keeping an eye on Obito in that situation in general. But again, Madara still thought that he could take away Obito's powers and deceive him. He even states as much as he's about to be brought back to life by saying that he planned on weakening Obito before straight up taking his powers and becoming a 10-tailed Jinchuriki himself. So I really can't say much more on this besides the fact that Hashirama truly didn't have a chance. Moving on to Madara now fighting Naruto and the rest of the Shinobi Alliance. See, at this point, Naruto is pretty much as strong as he's gonna be before he gets 6-path Senjutsu. And Naruto's already insanely strong at this point. Not only that, Madara is fighting against the rest of the Tailed Beasts and Gaara and the rest of the Shinobi Alliance. And all of them have chakra cloaks on that makes them at least 3 times stronger than what they normally are. And Madara sees this, well, not see because he has no eyeballs, but Madara takes notice of them and still plans on fighting all of them. Now he gets thrashed around a little bit, but again, he has no eyes and he's not trying to kill them. He's trying to take away their powers. And the second he gets one Rinnegan, he immediately beats all their ass. And not only that, he kills Naruto, and then right after, he beats down Tobirama and then kills Sasuke. Quick order. It's actually pretty much a no contest. And again, before he even becomes the 10-tailed Jinchuriki, he's already beaten 2 Jinchurikis, 7 other tailed beasts, a Kage, an EMS Sasuke, and the second Hokage, all by himself, pretty much, with 1 Rinnegan. So we might as well fast forward to when Madara becomes the 10-tailed with his Rinnegan, and still before he gets his full set of Rinnegan eyes. He fights Naruto and Sasuke, while they're now empowered with 6 Paths Chakra. Now, he fights them, and he's not necessarily winning, but he's not also necessarily losing. And the entire time he's analyzing them. Now, Sasuke is doing the same, but Madara seems to be analyzing them a lot better. He's breaking down everything they can possibly do so that way he, 1, doesn't get surprised anymore, and 2, so he can beat them for later. And the entire time Madara is fighting them, he has no sense of actually losing the fight. Like, he acknowledges that they're insanely strong. He acknowledges that they have pretty much the same power as him, and he acknowledges that Sasuke is a lot faster and Naruto has Sage Mode. And yet the entire time, he's still calm. The entire time, Madara is still confident. And this is actually not because he is stronger than them. It's not even because he's faster or has better techniques than them. But I mean, Limbo Clones is better than anything they got, to be honest. But it's because of Madara's strongest power, his strongest ability. Madara is actually pretty much unkillable. And he also knew that Sasuke and Naruto were the only 2 people that could have gave him problems because 1, while Madara is a 10-tailed Jinchuriki, he is immune to all damage that is not Senjutsu. And well, the blunt force of the 8 gates, but it takes the 8 gates to actually effectively hurt him. And even then, that won't kill him because he can instant regenerate. And even if they were to hit him, like when Sasuke did by cutting him in half, Madara will just, again, regenerate. Madara actually has a lot of answers for a lot of situations. His Limbo Clones alone were very tricky to handle, considering the fact that he can swap places with them almost instantly to get him out of any rough patch that he were to find himself in, and the fact that they're indestructible. In fact, even more so than him, because Senjutsu isn't necessarily enough to beat them. So truly, Madara is just an insane beast with a shit ton of abilities. Actually, during the time when Madara gets his full Rinnegan abilities, like while he's a 10-tailed Jinchuriki, we see that he's actually even stronger than before. And again, this is why I say that he can probably actually have gave Sasuke and Naruto a run for their money. I say this because when Madara only had 1 Rinnegan, he only had 1 Limbo Clone. But once Madara had a full pair of his Rinnegan, it was noted by Sasuke that Madara could use 4 Limbo Clones at one time. This suggests that Madara has gotten 4 times stronger. Well, maybe not stronger, but his abilities has been increased by 4 times. Instead of 1 clone, there's now 4. And the only difference that happened was he now has 2 eyes instead of 1. And this confirms that in order to utilize a dojutsu's full power to its utmost limits, you have to have a full pair. Madara already said this when it came to Sharingan, and it seems to have transferred over to the Rinnegan, which the Rinnegan is nothing but an evolution of the Sharingan. So the theory still stands, and Madara only proves it even more. But this also means that all of Madara's abilities, all of the Rinnegan's abilities actually, is also 4 times more effective. Or you can at least speculate that they are 4 times more effective. At this stage, Madara has a lot going for him. He has the full use of the Rinnegan. He has Limbo clones. He can also make Wood clones and Shadow clones. He also has True Seeking Orbs and the Staff of the Sage of the 6 Paths that allows him to straight up negate all ninjutsu completely if it's not infused with senjutsu. And not only this, he can heal insanely fast. Faster than most other people, faster than even Hashirama, which I said earlier at the beginning of this video, Hashirama was pretty much unkillable unless you killed him in 1 clean hit. We actually see Naruto's and Sasuke encounter with Madara. They kind of can't kill him in 1 hit. They can cut off parts of his body, but they can't kill him. So it's at the stage where we begin to truly understand how strong he is. Oh, and let's not even forget the fact that even if you could tag him or even hit him, he can swap out with his limbo clones, which there are now 4 of them and they're all indestructible besides for maybe Senjutsu being able to affect them. But even that is still questionable. So Madara at this stage is insanely powerful. Too powerful actually, I would dare to say, for there to be a legitimate reason for him to really lose. It was even at this point that he also got a handle on Sasuke's own abilities. He knows pretty much the extent that Sasuke can use his own Rinnegan powers. He doesn't know much about Amaterasu. Even if it was infused with Senjutsu energy, it wouldn't really affect Madara because Madara can absorb it. He is mastered instantly wood style, so much so that he is comparable to Hashirama with it. He has already invented his own sage release jutsus that he couldn't have possibly been able to do before he actually got the Ten Tails Jinchuriki. He's already mastered sage mode, he only took a little bit of it. So to say that Madara at this point could have been beaten easily by most people, if any people, it's kind of hard to say. Kaguya was not the smartest person in the block. In fact, she wasn't even combatively that great. She had Black Zetsu working for her the entire time and giving her tips and props on what to do next concerning her fight with Naruto and Sasuke. Madara didn't need that. Not only did Madara didn't need that, Madara is actually better at deciphering people's abilities and planning countermeasures than Black Zetsu. So to say that Madara would lose against Kaguya all because she has more chakra and she is probably faster doesn't necessarily make much sense. And the reason it doesn't make sense is, one, Madara's Mangekyou Sharingan and, well, Rinnegan is in a straight pattern. That means he's able to predict people's movements at an insane speed, so much so that you can be faster than him and he can still keep up with you. And you want to know how we know this? It's because Sasuke has the same eyes, and that's what Sasuke's eyes does for him. So if he's not better than Sasuke, he has to be bare minimum equal to Sasuke when it comes to eye prowess. So Kaguya's speed doesn't matter. Now, her having more chakra also wouldn't matter. In fact, by the time Naruto does his Rasen Shuriken training, Kakashi states that Naruto has at base 4 times more chakra than him. But at that time, Naruto has not surpassed Kakashi in fighting prowess. And that's the difference here. All because someone is stronger or even faster or has more chakra doesn't mean that you're going to win in a fight. This is actually even more proven when Madara is able to accurately discern how strong Naruto and Sasuke are. He admits that Sasuke is faster, he admits that Naruto has very troublesome jutsus, and he admits that they're both above the cut when it comes to shinobi. They're not just regular people. But the entire time, he is not worried. At this point, he has already worked out different ways to beat them. And he already has multiple jutsus that they probably has never seen or heard of that he can unleash at any point in time. So he can have an army of wood clones, an army of shadow clones, and 4 limbo clones, and they will all be kind of around his same level. And if you have endless chakra, or close to it, making clones actually doesn't impede you. He can also summon meteors from the sky. He's pretty much the only person that knows how to do that. And his Susanoo is insanely strong, that he probably still has. So again, I'm not saying that it would be impossible for Kaguya to win. I'm just saying with everything that Madara has, with how smart Madara is, and with how much of a tactical genius that he has clearly displayed multiple times on the screen and off screen, from stories told and everything that we have read, Madara is way stronger than what most people give him credit for. And you gotta realize, the fight doesn't always go to the person that can throw the hardest punch. Sometimes it goes to the person that had a plan after that punch was thrown.